Hey, the One Palette here, and welcome back. It's time for another filler video, and we're doing a little bit more World of Warships. So I wanted to update on how the competitive ranked is going. I've made it up to rank 6. I found a mostly productive winning combination, and I hinted at this in the last video about the ranked, where I said basically if I play battleships I win more than I lose, and that's still basically it. For a time there, I like variety. I like variety in my gameplay, a lot of that. So I would play the battleships until I got my daily win on the battleships, at which point I would switch over to the destroyers or the cruisers, and I would lose in those. And it just wasn't really working. It wasn't smart. So I've basically abandoned playing destroyers and cruisers in ranked, and I've stuck with the battleships. I find that I am much more effective at determining the overall outcome in a battleship than I am in a destroyer, in a cruiser, so forth. The destroyers absolutely can carry a team. They really can. If you get a good, lucky, not even lucky, but if you get into a good position with torpedoes, you can really change the outcome of a battle super quick with the Sims and Atsuki, Shiriatsu. Those ships are very good at that. But there's several things that need to all come together at once. You need to be able to get into position without being detected by an enemy destroyer, which is not always easy. If you're like in a Sims, you can sometimes get within, you know, your 9.2 kilometer range to drop those off. But then also there's a lot of hydroacoustics going on, and it's inconsistent in my experience. So maybe I'm just not good enough at that. There will be some battles where I go in with the Sims, or would go in with the Sims, and I'd come out with 120,000 damage, 6 torpedoes. But that'd be like 1 in every 4 battles. And if you're doing that 1 in every 4, in the system that they have in World of Warships, where you have to win more than you lose in order to advance up, it just really wouldn't work. Also, being somewhat of a more aggressive player, getting out in front in a destroyer, once I got detected, if my team wasn't close to me, with the combination of radar from the Atlantis, from the Belfast, and all of that, I was just dead. It didn't really work. It didn't work out very well in the long run. So what I found is, sticking with the battleships, I have the HP, the durability in order to take it. I also have that potential damage output that I can do more consistent damage with compared to the destroyers, because the torpedoes, the battleship guns, are a lot easier to hit than a torpedo salvo being dropped out. So I'm not having nearly as many games where I just don't feel like I do anything as I do in the destroyer. So that's been this changeover, and since then I've been able to get up to rank 6. In fact, over the last 3 nights, I am probably like 14-4 for wins, losses. Last night, in fact, the day this battle was recorded, I went 5-1 and got to that rank 6 finally. So I'm going to be sticking with that. I also talked briefly about the Gneisenau in the last video, and I said I didn't love it, and I still don't love it, but I've come to be able to use it, and I've come to respect it. The problem with the Gneisenau is combination of the dispersion and the number of guns with the reload rate. He only has 6 guns. Now, they're big. They're 390 millimeters compared to the 293 millimeters on the Scharnhorst here, but there's only 6 of them. They have the worst dispersion for any of the battleships at tier 7, and they only fire every 30 seconds. So there'll be some battles where you'll go out there and the dispersion will be on your side and things will fall where you want them to do, and you can easily get 120, 140,000 damage and just rock things. But there's other battles where you're aiming the exact same way you were before and every single shell misses. That really annoys me. It does drive me nuts with that type of gameplay. The difference with the Gneisenau, and it did take me getting a 14-point captain for this to really start working, is you have the 7.5 kilometer secondaries. You also have the highest top speed of the battleships. The Gneisenau tops out at like 32.5 knots. So the Gneisenau is pretty quick, whereas the Scharnhorst here is 29 something, 29.5. The Nagato's 26 range, and Colorado's 22 range. So the Gneisenau, once it gets moving, you can stay with the team, and you can kind of dictate your engagement range with other battleships. So that's what I've had to do a little bit more often if I'm going to play the Gneisenau, which I do. I use my secondaries to take care of destroyers and everything as I move in, because they're just not accurate enough to hit the destroyers. And then I close to within about 14 kilometers of battleships and use the guns there. And once you're within 12 to 14 kilometers, while the dispersion's still not great, you can accurately hit 1 to 2 rounds out of every salvo, compared to 1 round out of every 2 or 3 salvos at 15 kilometers or greater. I still, though, I prefer the Scharnhorst. The Scharnhorst definitely does lack a little bit in terms of that alpha strike potential, just only having 293s, but Nine guns every 20 seconds before adrenaline rush starts kicking in. Relatively fast rate of turret on your relatively fast turret rotation rate. That's what I'm trying to say. Works out pretty well. There's still enough to punch through cruisers. You know, those 293s will punish a cruiser. Being able to throw out 9 projectiles is good at sniping it. Not good, but it's more effective at sniping a destroyer than, say, the Nagato, Colorado, those. It works. It just works, is I guess the point I'm trying to make. There's also been a bit of a change in the overall meta, I think, of competitive. A little bit. So, before the meta was very much Smokescreen, Belfast, Fiji. And it's still Smokescreen and all that, but the number of cruisers has dropped off dramatically. The first 2-3 weeks of competitive, it wasn't uncommon to see 3 or 4 cruisers on each team. Frankly, with a lot of them tend to be like two Belfast and a Fiji on each team plus something else. As you can see here, this ranked is 4 battleships, 3 destroyers on each team. This is becoming a little more common. The meta has shifted away from cruiser back towards battleship and destroyer overall. You'll still regularly see Belfast, but it's not uncommon just to have 1 cruiser on each team, at most 2 cruisers. It's pretty rare for that 3-4 cruiser team loadout anymore. And I think I'm liking it a little bit more because of that. There's also been a narrowing of the skill gap on the teams. Initially, because everyone was playing, people that were really poor skilled were playing, people that were really high skilled were in playing and everything, the team balance was all over the place. Well, the really good players have already made it to rank 1, and basically they've gotten to where they need to be. They've stopped playing ranked competitive. The really bad players are below rank 10 or have gotten frustrated and stopped playing. So the amount of people, or the skill of the people playing between rank 10 and 5 has narrowed. And this means when they do balance out the teams and put the teams together, because everyone's in a closer skill pool, the teams overall feel a lot tighter. And in fact, that's why this battle is being shown here. You might have noticed so far nothing really exciting has happened, and this isn't going to be a 180,000 damage Kraken type game, but it is a very tight, very competitive game that at the end, like, my adrenaline was rushing. I was having a good time. Speaking of which, what's coming on right now, depending on how much you were watching on the mini-map, friendly destroyer just got killed by, I think it was an Ataksuki out here, and I was already on my way out here, and that's why this scout plane's going up. I figured this, oh, it's a Shriatsu. If I was at Shriatsu after I had this flank open, I would have come around and put Torps back up in there into the back end of A, try to hit our battleships on the back side. For some reason, he decided to back up. He was just sitting there backing up, which made him a very easy target for me. I've now secured the flank. At this point now, my plan is to kind of move out here into the northern side a little bit, and I want to do 2 things. One, I want to draw some fire. Now, I don't want to draw it all, so I'm not going to sail directly at them. I don't want to have everybody turning and see, oh, one isolated battleship focus fire down. But if I can get that Nagato and maybe the Colorado to shoot at me rather than the rest of my team, I can absorb that damage, barring a really unlucky hit. I can absorb that damage, I can keep them distracted, and I can give my team more of an advantage in terms of firepower back in towards the center. So that's my plan. I want to just move up here, get some shots on the Colorado, get some shots on the Nagato, see what I can do. Also, everybody else on the team is sitting on the point. They're going to be sitting inside smoke screens. There's going to be a lot of torps coming and going. No one's going to be spotting. So out here, I can clearly spot these other battleships and give a shot. The Nagato, it's hard to judge. How fast was he going? Like I said, the Nagato does like 25 knots, 26 knots. It looked like he was a little slow, and yeah, he was definitely a little slow. I overshot him a little bit there. But we got him ranged now, so we should be able to get a few more rounds on them. He is out there quite a bit, though, at 16, 17 kilometers, 16 and a half kilometers. He's coming in, he's picking up speed, rounds out. Island is now between us, so he can no longer see me. Don't have to worry about return fire. I am going to cut speed here, though. I think I'm going to cut speed. This is all post, guys, if you haven't caught on yet. All post. I'm going to cut speed just because there might be a destroyer out here. Probably not, but maybe. No, instead I just actually turn out. So get another salvo out on the Nagato. Nagato does definitely see me now. He definitely wants to fire at me. And now I'm going to be called a bot. I'm not sure why. I don't know how I got called a bot. I guess because I didn't sit right in the middle with everybody else taking torpedoes in the middle like the Gneisenau did. And I guess that makes me a bot, even though I'm the one of the few that's actually pinging targets. And there's a mass. Yeah, so 9.2, 9.5 kilometer torpedoes. I'm not too worried about him at that range. He's close enough, but I'm not going to push him. At this point, all right, I'm overextended on this north side here. If I do push in there, then the mass plus the Colorado and the Nagato would put me in trouble. So rather than push in there and get in trouble, I'll turn around, come on back in, and assist the team. We are now down by 1 battleship compared to them, but we should be able to get that Sims. Can I get Salvo up over? Nope, the smoke went off. Hopefully they get the Sims before I die. This has been more how I've been playing the battleships. So the smoke line. You see so many people, the destroyers move in, they drop the smoke line is great, and then the battleships sail inside of it broadside, and they just sit inside their broadside, and then they take torpedoes, and it's like, well, what'd you expect? I've started to play much more where I never stop moving. I might cut speed here or there, never's the wrong term, but I very rarely stop moving. If I can get to a spot where I can fire good accurate salvos on targets and I'm not detected, I might cut and just lob shells over an island. I've done that in battleships and everything before, and you can really punish targets. But as long as I'm in an area where I can be detected, I tend to always continue moving. And that's really become a lot more effective in terms of gameplay. I lose a lot less. And now we are down 2 battleships because we had a Schornhorst go toe-to-toe with the Gneisenau close range, and he took torpedoes. Luckily, though, the Gneisenau, although he's behind the island, he is pretty darn low. Gonna try, he's sailing directly away according to the minimap. I'm gonna try and just lob some shells over that island, see what I can do. Yeah, so the competitive ranked up, he's pulling away. I missed those shots pretty wide. Oh well, we couldn't actually see him. It was just a lucky blind shot. And yeah, he's burning. He's in trouble. Let's put out some salvo there. Might actually get a cheeky shot on him. I don't know. A lot of people would call that as kill steal if I do get this. I don't even recall if I get this kill. I kind of understand that, but at the same time, see, he just put out his fire, so he's no longer dying. He's going to start recovering health, so you want to finish these targets off. You don't want to leave a battleship at 30%, 15, 20% to continue to fight and repair and everything. So, yeah, well, I can't argue that if, like, I had sniped that kill, it would have been a kill snipe. It's still much more beneficial for the team overall in terms of trying to get the win. And now things are starting to look pretty bad. It's 3 on 5. No, 3 on... Yeah, 3 on 5. I can do math. It's good. Things are looking pretty bad here, though we do have the destroyer advantage, and that does give us a pretty strong base. Unfortunately, though, the Mahan is getting hammered by this Sims. The Sims is actually using the Mahan's own smokescreen against him. I had just fired my gun, so there's not much I can do to save him. A little bit of a hitch there in the video. Bring the guns back around. I get 1 hit onto the Sims. He's moving. Now he sees me, he's cutting speed. Secondary guns, come on, secondaries. Why are you not firing? Secondaries, why are you not firing? I did target him. That's weird, why are my secondaries not firing? I didn't notice that in the game. I was actually just a little too excited, but we'll go ahead and we'll finish him off with the primary guns. That's 2 destroyer kills with a battleship. Gonna go ahead and get the spotting aircraft up. Expect torpedoes, though I'm moving forward fast enough, I can probably get behind this island. And now it is 2v4. So we did even it up a little bit, and the Sims here, if we look where the enemy team's pushing, the Sims is in a really good spot if he has his torpedoes ready. Here comes those enemy Sims torpedoes. Unfortunately, the friendly Sims did take a torpedo from, I think that was the Gneisenau. But he did finish the Gneisenau off. He's now got the Schornhorst hurt. The Schornhorst also took a torpedo, and the Sim's lighting him up. And again, we're going to go for the finishing shot. I just wanted to wait long enough for that island to get in front of me in order to really lob it in there. Unfortunately, my rear gun did still catch the island a little bit. But at this point, neither of us are actually spotted. Up there we go. Colorado's coming around. So once that Colorado gets there, I will be spotted here momentarily. But we can go ahead. That Schornhorst should be dead right there. And now it is 2v2. Well, right there he's now dead. But both the Nagato and the Colorado are at near full health. And I'm in a bit of a tricky situation here. Nagato and Colorado are about 80 degrees off of each other. So I can't very easily angle against either one of them. And they both have very powerful guns. The Nagato and the Colorado both are shooting 390s, maybe even a little bit larger than that. I forget the exact caliber of their guns. They're approaching 400mm guns compared to mine. And there's just really very little optimal angling I can do here at this point. So I'm going to put whatever shots, because the Nagato is giving me a pretty good angle. I'm going to put whatever shots I can into the Nagato here, but once I lose track of him, can no longer see him, well, at this point now I just got to worry about engaging this Colorado. And woof, that Nagato He hurts. You might have noticed Colorado's firing HE, and I did realize that the first salvo. My thought process, though, and this is going to play into how this plays out the rest of the fight here, my thought process was, okay, he's firing, because I was trying to stay mostly angled to him. So he switched over to HE, was firing those at me, expecting to burn me because I wasn't going to give him the broadside. No, that was the plan. I wasn't going to give him the broadside. I was trying to angle against both. I did want to get all of my guns firing, though, because at this point, if I'm going to beat the Colorado, I just need to out-DPS him. So luckily I managed to avoid that shot. My repair party's got 30 seconds back on it, and he's still firing HE, but again, I'm not giving him a very good angle. We're going to continue to move on. And now he's opening up a little bit to me. And just as I go to fire again, frickin' Nagato hits me and takes one of my guns out as it's loading, as I'm ready to shoot. I was going to drop torpedoes there. As you can tell, they were still reloading from that set I sent after the Nagato beforehand. At this point, I got to turn out, and he's still firing HE. Okay, we're burning, but our repair party's about to come off. And we can get some recovering some health. We're going to fire it back out. And each one of these salvos, none of them are doing great, but we are getting solid 4,000 damage or so from a full salvo, which is okay. The Colorado's a bugger. You're going to do a lot of AP damage, but you're not going to Citadel too much at this range. At longer range, you can plunge in, and you can Citadel with Colorado, but at close range, it's a lot more difficult. But the AP damage does stick, so that's good. It's kind of like a German battleship in that range. You're probably not going to Citadel them, but you can do some pretty good damage. And he's cut his speed quite low. Going to go ahead and we're going to continue on. We're angling away. And at this point here, he's still, we'll see the salvo coming here, still firing HE. Hindsight being what it is, after having seen this battle through to the end and finished it, I can go back and I can say what I should have done was he was going to fire HE the entire time. I should have rushed him. Got my secondary guns going, so my secondaries could have got him burning. I would have been more accurate with my torpedoes. I might have been able to get multiple torpedo hits on him, and that would have been enough. Another hang up in the video. Very odd. Very odd. Wonder what's going on with that. If I just rushed him and he continued to fire that HE, things would have worked out okay. You know, I could have really taken to him, but luckily I do get a really good salvo right there, which finishes him off, just in time to swing around for the Sims, who is going at the Nagato's ball. He's going straight at him and drops the torpedoes off just in time, kills the Nagato off. The Sims lives, and we'll go ahead and we'll jump over to the post screen. So you can see there I was halfway to through rank 7. I do win the next 2 battles in a row actually and go up to rank 6. We'll look over at the post screen, and what actually happened here was between myself and the Sims, we killed the entire enemy team. I killed 4 of them, he killed 3 of them. It's pretty crazy. Like the other team, the rest of our team obviously did damage and everything, but all the kills came down to us, and I was being called a bot. The only thing I can think with that Colorado is perhaps he was running an HEAP build, because his high explosive was doing a lot of damage to me. So I'm wondering if like he thought he was just going to batter me down with high explosive armor piercing or the high velocity, whatever the commander skill is. If so, it's the first one I've come across, and it definitely hurt. I still think pure armor piercing would have done more damage, would have hurt a lot more, but yeah, it's an interesting thought process, at least, if that's what he was doing. It didn't work out for him in the long run. That, or he was not the primary owner of that account. You know, he was up in the higher rank battles and stuff. I don't know, it's interesting. But that's what's going on in World of Warships. The meta definitely has changed in terms of competitive, a lot less cruisers. Battleships are definitely ruling the day. As long as you can avoid the torpedoes, you keep moving, don't sit on the smoke screens. There's still a lot of smoke screens, which is annoying, but other than that, I've been enjoying it, and I think I can get rank 5. Rank 1, I don't know, but I think I can get rank 5. Until next time, though, this has been Paler. Thanks for watching.